Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Day Off. In my 20s, I spent just over 5 years working in the oil and gas well servicing industry. It was rough work. 15 days on, 6 off rotations, long hours and dangerous conditions. In this line of work, 5 years made me a veteran. And at my final shop, I was the most experienced hand on site. I had recently transferred to a much busier location, only a few hours from home, and the money was better. I also lucked out with a supervisor whose work style matched mine perfectly. Everything else was absolutely awful. Management was inflexible. Morale was low, and communication was terrible. A close friend passed away from post-accident complications. I asked for a day off, just one, to attend his funeral. 2 days notice. Request denied. We are short-staffed, they said. I showed up to work that day and saw 4 guys sitting around the shop doing make-work projects to raise time. I'd worked over 100 days off, barely used sick time, and bent over backward during manpower shortages. But one day for a funeral was apparently too much to ask. Right then, I decided I am done. But I had a $4,000 transfer bonus hanging over me that I'd need to repay if I quit before completing 1 year at that shop. So I made a plan. Finish out the time, then walk. Just a few months shy of that 1 year mark, I started applying elsewhere. I quickly landed an interview with a local mining operation we often serviced. The job offered better benefits, more predictable hours, and twice as many days off. The pay would start a bit lower, but the progression was clear and fast. HR called and offered me an interview in 2 days. Unfortunately, that was during a work stretch. I asked if there were other dates. No, they only do interviews when enough new hires are needed for orientation. I asked the assistant manager for time off, vaguely stating something important had come up at home. His response? No, we need you here. Whatever it is can wait for your days off. I started to think maybe I'd just call in sick, but then a better idea hit me. I checked the job board and, jackpot, there was a week-long assignment at the exact mine I was interviewing with, starting the next day. The job hadn't been assigned to our crew yet. I told my supervisor the situation, and he was fully on board. We approached the assistant manager and volunteered for the job. He was thrilled. Not many crews want to be out at our rig shack all week. Day 1 went smooth and we finished early. I borrowed my supervisor's truck, drove home, and got my interview clothes. Day 2 we ran a bit behind, but managed to deploy tools just in time. I showered, changed, and drove across the site, from one building to another, to attend my interview with the mine, while technically still working for the client. A week later, I got the offer. Lower starting wage, yes, but by year 2 I'd match my current pay. By year 4 I'd surpass it, and with double the time off, better benefits, and management that didn't actively hate you. I gave my 2 weeks notice. My manager asked where I was going and what they were offering. He was shocked I'd take a pay cut to leave. He asked, what would it take to keep you? I smiled and said, when someone takes a pay cut to leave, that ship sailed a long time ago. The next story is called Work Restrictions. My dad spent decades working in plumbing, heating, and air. He was great at it. Experienced, efficient, and reliable. He made good money for the company and for himself. Even the micromanaging manager couldn't find much to complain about. As time went on, working overhead started bothering his shoulders, so he simply stopped taking plumbing jobs that required reaching above his head. For bigger jobs, he'd bring in a helper when needed. Simple, efficient workaround. Everyone still got their money, jobs got done, no complaints. Even the micromanaging manager was content. Then that manager left and a new one came in. Thankfully, a normal human being. Dad kept doing things the way he always had. He figured the aches were just part of getting older. No big deal. He kept working, making the company money, and things rolled on just fine. Eventually, the micromanaging manager returned, and with him came the nonsense. He told my dad, "If you're not going to take certain calls, I need to see official medical restrictions." Dad, being the no-nonsense type, said, "Okay, fair enough." He wasn't trying to game the system, just doing what worked. But fine, you want a doctor's note, you got it. Dad went to his doctor, explained the shoulder issues, and expected to get a note saying something like, "Limit overhead work." Instead, the doctor took one look and said, "This isn't just normal aging. This is repetitive motion injury, classic wear and tear from years on the job." And just like that, what had been a quiet, informal accommodation turned into a full-blown workers' comp claim. Thanks to Micromanager's demand for paperwork, the company now had a formal injury claim to deal with. Dad was no longer allowed to do the exact kind of work he'd been quietly avoiding. Only now it was legally mandated. He ended up retiring shortly afterward. No drama, no stress, and a little more financial comfort thanks to that workers' comp situation. He enjoyed a well-earned retirement. The last story is called Great Compliance. I've always been a ketchup lover, borderline obsessed really. When I eat at a McDonald's with a self-serve ketchup pump, I unwrap my burger, pump out about a quarter cup of ketchup right onto the wrapper, and dip every bite so it's perfectly drenched. Yes, I am that person. And yes, it's glorious. These days, ordering through the McDonald's app is the go-to. And whenever I place my order, I make sure to hit Customize and select Extra Ketchup on my burger. Usually, this results in a solid amount. A bit more than normal, nothing outrageous, but it gets the job done. But sometimes, oh boy, sometimes the employees really take that extra seriously. And that's where the malicious compliance magic kicks in. Every now and then I open my burger and it looks like a crime scene. Ketchup is everywhere. It's oozing out the sides. The patty is practically swimming in it. And picking it up turns into a structural engineering challenge. Because everything tries to slide out at once. And all I can think is, some worker saw extra ketchup and thought, "Alright buddy, you asked for it. And you know what? I love it. That's the perfect burger in my world. If it doesn't need a hazmat team to clean up, did you even add extra ketchup?" So to the anonymous McDonald's employees out there delivering this chaotic, ketchup-drenched masterpiece of malicious compliance, thank you. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.